Hey, what's up? We're going to learn how to complete the square. The very first step in completing the square is to make sure that you isolate just x squared and whatever is right after that. So that means this minus 16, it's got to go. The way we're going to do that is by adding 16 to both sides. So when you do that, you're going to be left with the x squared plus 6x. And then I'm purposely going to leave a space here. And on the right side, you get 16. All right, now we got to take the number that's in front of the x. We have to divide it by 2 and then square it. So if you divide 6 by 2, you get 3. If you then square it, you get 9. All right, so 9 is the number that you want to put in this space. But if you add it to the left side, you also got to add it to the right side. And now that we've done that, these first three terms will turn into x plus 3 squared. So that 3 comes from just taking the 6 and dividing it by 2. We already did that, by the way. But it's always going to be in this kind of form, where it's always going to be x plus some number squared. So it's always going to be in this kind of form. But in this case, the number that we have to put is the 3, whatever we got when we divided that original number that was in front of the x by 2. Now on the right side, we've got 16 plus 9, that's 25. So when we say completing the square, this guy right here, x plus whatever squared, that is what we mean when we say the square. And if we didn't add in this 9, we wouldn't have completed it. We wouldn't have had the necessary ingredients to rewrite the 3 terms over here as x plus blah, blah, blah squared. So this is a nice form to now solve the equation in. But before we continue, just to make sure you understand what the hell we're doing, let's see how this works on another example, just getting you into this form. All right, so we got another example here. We got to take the number that's in front of the x, and then we have to divide it by 2 and square it. So that's really the magic thing to do. It's always going to be whatever this number is. Sometimes we call it b. We're always going to divide it by 2 and square it. So always the number in front of the x, divided by 2 and square it. So in this case, that gets us 5 squared, which is 25. So that's now the number that we have to add to both sides. We have to add it to the left side and add it to the right side. Now, I also need to move over that minus 1, just like last time we had the minus 16. So if you have a number like that in your way, you're just going to have to add it or subtract it just to get it out of the way, cancel it out. So the right side is now 1 plus 25, that's 26. The minus 1 and the 1 cancel out, so let's just remove them. And now we've got x squared plus 10x plus 25. That's going to be the same thing as x plus 5 squared. So always x plus whatever you got when you divided that number by 2, and then the square right above. All right, so the setup is now out of the way. Now it's time to focus on how to finish solving this equation. All right, I copied it in for us right here. And ultimately what we're trying to do is get down to just x equals something. But I've got a couple of guys that are standing in my way right now. It's the plus 3, but it's also the square. Well, I got to do the opposite of both of those. So the opposite of squaring is a square root. Left side, do it to the right side. But on the right side, I got to be a little careful. I need to put a plus or minus in front. You can't just say that the square root of 25 is 5. You gotta put a plus or minus in front of it. And on the left side, our square gets canceled out by the square root we put. And that just leaves us with the x plus 3 down here. So now we know x plus 3 is equal to plus or minus 5. So now I see a plus 3, I need to get rid of that by doing a minus 3. So I'll do a minus 3 on both sides. That'll cancel it out, leaving me with just x. And on the right side, I'm going to put the negative 3 and then plus or minus 5. But now we got to remember that plus or minus 5 means that you either put negative 3 plus 5 or negative 3 minus 5. So that means x is equal to 2 or x is equal to negative 8. There we go. We finally solved that equation using completing the square.